Fungi foraging day today, people. Already found a few bits, making films of them as I go along. But the conversation in this video is that if we are spiritual, if we are philosophical, if we are remotely scientific, and we've engaged in the oldest and the newest information pertaining to these subjects, then we might be very persuaded to think that we are just an illusion. And you see, this whole thing about the illusion, it stems from our perception. And the perception was premised in our ignorance. And I suppose from the earliest days of the human being, we grew, we lived, and we died. And maybe we never had too much intellect to discern what was going on between our ears. But as we have become more sophisticated, we have contemplated many things and we've experienced a great deal. And so the human being has experienced an enormous amount of what could be discerned as the supernatural, paranormal, metaphysical, something outside of the physical. We think, or we thought, we were physical beings. But now you see, with the advent of quantum physics and listening to philosophers, or even of modern day, they tell us that our consciousness, which nobody knows what it is or where it comes from, is creating something like a dream, because there isn't in actual fact any physical matter here. And so because we always assumed that there was physical matter, and physical matter was made of molecules and atoms, but now we are told that even those are not physical. There is no such thing as physical matter. There is just energy and the illusion of physical matter. And so some of us may have took on board, oh well, we are nothing then, we don't exist, we're a dream. And you know, I've made many videos of that variety, dismissing this experience as an apparition, as a dream, as a simulacrum, as a simulation, as a hologram, any number of things. You know, it's all out there, isn't it? But the fact being, consciousness is, and so therefore we are. And we may not be what we once thought we were, but we most certainly are, aren't we? You know, there's some shard of consciousness standing here amongst all this other stuff we call trees and bushes and foliage, and I am philosophizing about the nature of what I am. I'm introspecting. I'm searching for the root of my true essence, and I feel very solid and I feel very real, and I feel pain and suffering and anguish and joy and love and all these complex things. Where does it all stem from? Out of nothingness? Well, there's different levels of nothingness, isn't there? Because albeit quantum physicists tell us there's no physical matter, yet there appears to be, and we live and die by physical matter. There's no escaping that delusion as far as living entities go in this paradigm. So we can't dismiss it totally. We have to embrace it, and most of us do. We embrace this life experience, even though it's very, very bizarre and we can't find any real answers, and it's very perplexing to us, but something's going on. And so it's kind of like, well, we have to accept that something's going on. And even though our physicists have told us that there's no physical matter here, so what of physical matter? I mean, there is physical matter as far as Newtonian physics goes, but there's no physical matter regarding quantum physics, because Newtonian deals with the macro and the quantum deals with the micro. And as yet, they haven't found an equation which conjoins both of those, because they work beautifully independently, but they can't be married up. And this is one of the greatest sources of perplexion for scientists to this day. They can't find this equation which marries the two, but they are married. It's happening. Why can't they find the equation when they're going to find equations for all this quantum stuff and spooky accent at a distance, and the whole Schrodinger's cat thing, and there's a whole bunch of stuff going on that they've found equations for, and they've got hypotheses for, but they've got no hypothesis for why they can't marry up the quantum with the macro. And so, I was thinking earlier on today about how we really aren't anything save for experience. You see, when consciousness comes about, out of consciousness is born egos. If it wasn't for the fact that we had an ego, an operating system for being a human being, then we couldn't know, do, or be anything like what we are as Homo sapiens, wise beings. We'd be primates, or we'd just be animals that operate primarily off their instincts. But we don't operate wholly from our instincts. Of course we do. And, we call people automaton, and they are very instinctual, and they form patterns in their lives, and they just follow the patterns and those repetitive actions that they do without really thinking about what they're doing or why. So the pink ape in lots of respects isn't that different to the furry ape, but some of us have a higher level of awareness, more expanded consciousness. There's a great difference in the levels of cognition, intelligence, and problem solving, and all these sort of things. So when we have those abilities, we look at ourselves and we go, well, look, from the cradle to the grave, we are nothing but experience. And we kid ourselves that we are the experience. I am Aaron. I'm a man. I'm a human. I'm English. I'm a fungi forager. I'm a YouTube blogger. I'm a weirdo of the woods. And we say that we're all these things. But what are those things? They are activities which become memories, and when we perform certain things and we create memories, then we say that we are those things. So am I just memories? Yes, just memories. And so, well, when we die, where do the memories go? Into the Akasha? Are our memories and our thoughts and our feelings going into the Akasha as they happen? I think they are, people. This is what the whole Akashic Records was about. And this is why we can feel the spirit of a certain place or a certain building. We can feel spirits in varying peoples and woods and areas. We can feel this stuff. So there seems to be a presence, a non-physical, ethereal presence hanging in the air. And like when people have auras about them, you feel something about them, don't you? So that gets back then to the quantum fields. Everything is an amalgamation of the quantum fields. Just different fields of energies and spirits among the sea of consciousness. And so it might be easy for a philosopher to dismiss that we are anything, because we can say, oh well, take the memories away and what are you? Well, take the memories away and I don't even know whether we can call ourselves human beings. Do apes remember much? They don't seem to, do they? You know, when you watch them, you watch these big silverbacks, and whether they're being filmed in the wild or in captivity, they're just looking around. They pay no mind to the human being. They don't look at the human being. You'll never see a primate look into the eyes of a human being, inquiring, what are you, human being? Whenever you've been this close to a primate, let's say a chimpanzee, we can get pretty close to those on lots of occasions, particularly in zoos, and you look through the glass or you look through the cage, they will never look into your eyes. You may get a very, very fleeting glance as they're looking everywhere, but there's no acknowledgement that they're looking into a conscious being. So they obviously aren't conscious on that level. And of course, chimpanzees or primates don't recognise themselves in the mirrors. And so that's a very good indication. They don't go, hey, who's that? That's me. Like baby pink apes do. At about 18 months, they recognise themselves in the mirror. Isn't that incredible, people? They know that they are looking at themselves. That's genius. So the human being has a genius level of cognition and awareness. He knows. Hang on, I'm a human. I'm having a human experience. I am an I. This is me. Different to that reflection in the mirror. That's not the real me. Because you know when scientists do these tests with youngsters, and they'll put a little sticky thing on their foreheads and they'll place them in front of a mirror, and when they come to a certain age, usually about 18 months, the child won't try to scrape off that dot from the image in the mirror. It will look at that and it will go like this, and it'll be picking at things. That's when consciousness has really come about. Why has it come about at 18 months? At that level of, why does the I manifest at that level? You see, because when we watch babies and they're newborn, and those of you that have children, you know that they are biting their toes and they're scratching their faces, and then they'll make themselves cry. This is why we have to keep the nails very, very short. Then they'll be rattling something and they'll hit themselves on the head and then they'll cry. They're not aware at that stage that they are an I, and it is them. They have an awareness of things. Their awareness is growing, but they can't distinguish between what is out there and what is in here until this 18-month period comes about. So when I look at the human being and I go, well look, you see them all milling around doing this and doing that. They know not what they are, most of them. They've never contemplated that question. It's not something that they've ever had an interest in. But some do. And when they do, then, they may be forgiven for being confused, because there's a facet of what it is to be a human being that tells us that everything is real. And then there's a facet which is over and above that, which says, do you know what, mate? You're not exactly real. You're not real like you think you are. Oh, don't get me wrong. There's some sort of reality to your existence, but, you're not a solid entity. You're a light being. Probably you're made of photons, to be honest. And there's no mass to the photons. And so really you're kind of like ghosts. Only you appear to be solid because you are in a certain vibration of density, which brings that delusion about. So when we think about that, we go, wow, I have to be God. We have to be God. It has to be God. God has created all this miracle genius, illusion, delusion, fabrication, deception, whatever it is, but it can be incredible and beautiful. It can be traumatic and heinous also. It's everything. But then when we contemplate death, where do we go? This consciousness seems to be infinite. The body, of course, we know isn't. And so we're very skeptical or interested, intrigued about where does this thing that thinks, that knows, this essence of what I am, this essence which came about when I was about 18 months old, where was it before? Where was that essence before? It wasn't in that pink little body. It came about later. And then it leaves. And sometimes if it looks like the body is going to die, it preemptively leaves the body. And it's outside of the body. And then it's kind of like, the body's not dead. I best go back. And then it comes back, doesn't it? Look at all this weird stuff, people. Look at all this weird stuff. And as I stand here in this dream, looking up at the wonderful vista that I'm blessed with, and feeling myself, feeling a focal point of energy and essence, but also feeling a connection with everything. And that's the thing with the spiritual awakening. You no longer are just a human body. You are the cosmos. And you should feel that. You should be able to just become still and know that you are. I am that I am. 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 Why am I that? Because it's all going on within consciousness. It's all within consciousness on a whole, my consciousness. It's all a projection of my essence in all its conglomerate forms. Physical matter, non-physical matter, illusion, delusion, deception, reality, assurity, truth. Wow. What a blast, eh, people? What a blast. And one thing that really makes me go into the dream is when I'm in nature and I listen to the birds. They send me into a very surreal type of entheogenic dream. And it's like when you take mushrooms, everything becomes very, very dreamlike. And you know that you are in the dream, a part of the dream. You're not dreaming the dream per se, you are in the dream. You're a character in the dream. And you look around at other characters in the dream, and the characters are the trees and the bushes and the clouds and the birds and the squirrels and everything. They're all characters in the dream. And then you go, wow, we're all being dreamt. And so then, when we dream at night, when consciousness is asleep, when our ego is asleep, because it's only that facet of consciousness which is asleep, because the unconscious, subconscious is awake. It never sleeps. But then it dreams of things that appear to be separate to itself again. So we're doing the same thing. We're replicating the same thing. When we are so-called awake, we are considering that we're separate from everything. Then when we have dreams, we're doing it again. We can't seem to escape that. But then there are times when we have supernatural experiences, and those experiences tell us that it's all you know. It's all you. You are the creator. You are God. And that's quite something, people. It's quite something.